Recently, I attended the annual Certified Instructor Summit in Quincy, Illinois, held in conjunction with the BEF Junior National Championship and the first American Professional Heyball or Chinese 8-ball tournament. This video shows excerpts from the seminar I gave to certified instructors dealing with common pool myths, along with how to find useful resources for teaching and learning. I thought other instructors and students of the game might also be interested to see it. The handout mentioned during the presentation is available via the link in the video description. Be sure to watch to the end because I have several interesting demonstrations later in the video. Enjoy the presentation and the demos.
Dr. D.
First of all, I want to thank Pops, Randy G. He actually had the idea for me to talk about pool myths. Remember Randy last year? Yep, you suggested that. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where to find lots of useful resources, especially for the newer instructors out there that might not be familiar with stuff I have on my website. So I want you to be able to find all the stuff that I've worked 25 years to create, because there's a lot of useful stuff here. It's probably the most valuable thing I can provide to you, the skill to find a lot of useful stuff. Last year when Randy had this idea, I pulled up this page, the top 100 myths of pool. Every one of these myths has links that with supporting evidence of why the myth is wrong. So we're not going to go through 100 of these. Right? That's why I picked out 5 or so on this handout. Now I'm not going to spend a lot of time on 2 through 5, but I am going to do some demos related to 1. So be looking ahead to see if you have any questions related to any of these things. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I'm going to give you guys time to at least see what's there and to ask questions. I'll cover some of the basics in a minute. So first of all, I want to show you a good place to start if you want to find some resources. This is the most useful area in the website. If you have a question about any topic in pool, click here. So like you want to look at draw shots, for example. Look at all the subtopics I have here, all about draw shots. Usually on the first page, there's some useful videos that cover all the important basics. Anytime I find anything good on the web, on Facebook, on YouTube, or somebody sends me something, I put it on this website. That makes it easy to find. Maybe you just want to talk with your student about what's some good general advice, or give them some homework. If you're going to talk about draw, like the next lesson or something, say, go look at this page first before you come back for your draw lesson. Sometimes I summarize things here, like what are some common things people do wrong when they try to execute draw shots? Like Jerry says, they think it's a different shot. That's the first thing they do wrong. They think it's different. It's not different. You just got to aim low. But they also tend to do these things. They tend to elevate more. They tend to rush the transition more. They tend to decelerate some. They tend to tighten their grip. All this stuff here. Also, whenever I've written articles for Billiards Digest that cover some of these topics, I have links to those here too. So I have articles that talk through everything. Sometimes there's nice diagrams or illustrations and other things. Throw is one thing I've spent a lot of time on over the years, trying to clarify things, analyze things, experiment with things, and try to come up with useful, simple principles people can use. I summarize a lot of those in this tutorial. So, like here, there's usually nice illustrations, some videos, and this is a nice little list. The things you really have to know about throw. Luckily, you can ignore throw in many situations. That's good news, right? Most of the time, you don't have to think about throw, but there are some times where you need to. As Jerry was showing us earlier, if you want to get maximum throw, you want to aim for a half ball hit, a center to edge half ball hit. That's what gives you the most throw. Also, you want to use slow speed. Also, you want to use stun. If you're hitting into an object ball, throws into another, that ball already has stun. It doesn't have time to roll. It's going to be stunning, which is what Jerry was demonstrating. We had John Lehman the first day talking about rules and fouls. World standardized rules, he called the WSR. That's published by the WPA, the World Pool Billiard Association. I think this video should be required viewing by every league player in the entire world. Because they don't read the rules. I mean, most league players do not read the rules. Would you guys agree? Yes. They do not read the rules. Well, this video covers really literally everything that you need to know about every type of foul and examples of how to come up and how to prevent them. So,
Dave, how long is that video?
That video is, I think it's about 12 minutes, which is a little long for most people's attention span. Who was it that told us about attention span? Was that Eric? Eric, what's the attention span? Like 4.2 minutes, something like that?
8.25.
All right, so you got to watch the video in 3 installments, okay? Hit the pause button. All right, all my YouTube videos, I just show you this as an example. If you click on the YouTube link, it's 20 minutes. So it's a little longer than I thought. Sorry about that, guys. But if you want to cover a topic completely, sometimes they have to be long, right? But all my YouTube videos, I have contests that show you every topic covered in this video, along with the time spot that if you click on those links, it brings you right to that spot in the video. So you don't have to watch the whole video. You just have to click on the link for the topic of interest. John mentioned there's differences between rules. This link here, I summarize all the main differences in each of the league system rules, how they differ from the WSR rules. So this is a very useful page. We've heard the 45-degree rule mentioned a couple times, that if you elevate more than 45 degrees, then it's not a foul. Well, that's BS. Even in the APA, if you double hit, it's a foul. It doesn't matter where you elevate or where you're pointing. If you double hit, it's a foul. A few years ago, VNEA still had this stupid rule. All right, so I did this video, and I convinced them to change their rule. First, I wanted to show this fouls page. If you have questions about double hits, this is the rule that causes the most disagreements and arguments and misunderstandings, right? So I've created lots of videos on this topic over the years. This is a really hard topic to do perfectly. I'm still not happy. I still want to do a new double hit video that is so crystal clear. I haven't done it yet, but I'll keep on trying. But here I show examples of bad calls from pro tournaments. This is a good resource. So I've done some videos that highlight some pretty famous bad calls that were made. I try to be respectful to the referees when I do this, because their job is hard, right?
No.
They're under a lot of pressure. They have to know a lot of crap, right? They have to be very present, always. They have to have the right view. Some of these players shoot fast, and then they don't have time to react. So please be nice to the referees. I try to be nice to them. But I point out when they make mistakes, because they can learn from that. We can all learn from that.
That's right.
Even Shane Van Boening, greatest American player, he double hits on this shot. And I don't care if he's elevated 85 degrees, he still double hits. It's very clear by how the cue ball moves. I have videos that cover how do you judge that. It's not that hard if you understand the physics. These are all bad hit calls that I'm compiling over the years, and they're dated. These are the most recent at the top. These are all bad calls in professional tournaments. Not all of them are bad, some of them are just interesting. Like recently, Josh Filler was breaking. Anybody know what I'm going to say? He was breaking recently.
The tip fell off.
The tip fell off, and the tip landed on the table, and then the ball hit the tip. That's a foul. So this is good training for referees, good training for players to see what kind of things come up and how do you judge them, and how do you make sure you don't make the wrong calls like some of these professional referees have. They're the best out there, and they still make mistakes. What I liked about John, he was very honest and open, right? He says, look, I'm human. I make mistakes. He told us that. And he says, I lose sleep. I wish I had a time machine so I can go back and not make that mistake. Didn't he say that?
Yes.
All right, so it bothers them too. They do their best. If you click on the resources menu, instructor, everything I've ever created, it's all here for free for you guys to use. These are all handouts in all different areas. So there's a lot there.
That deserves a round of applause.
Yeah, I like my 30-degree rule stuff because that's something I'm proud of. I'll click on that one.
Use it all the time.
I'm glad to hear it. Peace and love, brother. All right, so you see it has illustrations. Like this is a one-page summary of all the things useful to know about the 30-degree rule. Shows the peace sign. I can use that to visualize the natural angle and how, regardless of the cut angle you're shooting, those quarter ball hit, half ball hit, three-quarter ball hit, the object ball is going in radically different directions. The cue ball hits very similar direction. That's what the 30-degree rule is all about. Speed affects it. When you use more speed, as Jerry told us, the cue ball always wants to go down a tangent line, but if you have topspin, it curves forward. For a slow speed shot, it curves forward pretty much immediately, where you can't even detect that it's curving. But for fast speed shot, it's going to go down the tangent line longer before it curves to that natural angle. So you see, one page has so much information. I also have a lot of drills that I've created and other people have created, and this gives you access to all those. So these are all separate handouts that have drills in them. There are links to places where you can find a lot more drills. I've talked to some people about RDS, the run-out drill system. How many people have used RDS before? Anybody? I'm curious. A few people, okay. A very, very useful system that I developed with Bob Jewett. Since I mentioned it, I'll pull it up briefly. It's a collection of 16 little challenges. So we have these 16 levels, and they all correspond to different levels of player. Typically, people don't like drills because it's not like playing a game. You have to set up balls. You got to hit these things. That's not fun for a lot of people. So Bob had the first idea to say, why don't we think of simple break and run challenges where we're starting with just 6 balls. The rack looks like that, 6 balls. The first level is you break the balls and then you hit each ball into a pocket with the cue. That's for a very novice player. But it helps them learn how to stroke the cue a little bit, how to aim a ball straight, and it feels good to make a ball into a pocket. And this progressively gets tougher. So the next one, you break the 6 balls, and then you take ball in hand on every shot. can you make a shot with the cue ball? If you're smart, you're going to line it up perfectly straight. Here, you're running on a little mini version of 8-ball, very easy. And this is an example of straight pull. You're breaking 9 balls and you're hitting them in any order. Okay, so you can tell it's difficulties building, right? Anybody that's never seen it before, what do you think is the hardest level?
15 balls in rotation.
Bingo, 15 balls in rotation. That challenges the top pro. There's the exams and quizzes. These are available in PDF form where you can print them for your students and they can take it right in front of you, or you can take them electronically right here. You just start and answer all the questions here, it automatically scores it for you, shows you the results right away. Terminology stuff like tangent lines, stuff like that, what is stun, things like that. Full physics is more, this will challenge many of you guys. Because many of you guys do not have a solid understanding of all throw subtleties, right? Like what is the effect of inside spin when you're throwing a ball at a half ball hit with slow speed? If you add inside spin, what does that do to the throw? Things like that. Or what does gearing outside spin mean and what effect does it have on the direction of the ball? When you're banking a ball, what happens if you add right spin or left spin to the cue ball? What effect does it have on the bank angle? That's the kind of pool physics stuff a good player knows. You can test yourself with this quiz.
As you take it, is the right answer provided?
Yes. Oh yeah. As soon as you take the, we can stay on that now. We can stay on that. When you take the test,
I would like to learn.
and not only that, look, not only that,
Good big old X.
Is it
not only that, Michael.
Try again.
Not only that, there's homework. You can do homework before you take the quiz. Literally, on that page, there's links next to each quiz. There's links to homework you can do. There's resources to study before you take the quiz.
Is it anonymous, so you don't know?
It is anonymous.
Okay.
Yeah. It is scored electronically, and I actually get a report of the scores, but there's no connection to names or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I'm watching. And finally, here's the manual. How do you be a good instructor? It's all covered in this manual. What are all things you should be doing? How do you get started if you're a new instructor? How do you become an instructor? How do you find students? What are different ways, different formats for teaching? What are some of the teaching methods within those formats? What are some good lesson plans and topics you can cover? It's all covered here in this manual. How many people have read this manual before? Honestly, you've read this whole manual. It's a small number. And you guys are all the good ones. All right, you guys are all the good instructors because you're here. All right, so just imagine all the bad instructors. Those guys. Those.
Is this on the Facebook page or on the PBIA website?
It's on the PBIA website, but I also have a link to it from here.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at the handout now. Like the stroke, one myth is that the way you stroke affects the tip contact time. Like, are you accelerating? Are you grabbing the cue? Are you punching? Are you doing a nice, smooth, accelerating stroke? Do you guys think that affects how long the tip is in contact with the ball? It does not. Thanks to Heyball and I, we did some tests. We created very significant accelerations, very significant decelerations into the ball. They all resulted in almost exactly the same contact time. So that's a myth. People think they can hold on to the cue ball longer. That's wrong. It varies with the tip hardness. A harder tip stays in contact slightly less, but that doesn't really affect anything. A soft tip stays in contact a little bit longer. It doesn't affect anything. We have videos to support that also. I don't like to ever tell my student to follow through or follow through more. I like to say, look, if you accelerate smoothly through that ball and stay relaxed, the follow through is going to happen. The follow through is a side effect of a good stroke. You tell somebody to follow through, they're going to be focused on the follow through, and they often go like this. They think about the follow through, and they want to follow through. So they're doing this. They're using their shoulder to exaggerate the follow through. But if you tell them to stroke naturally, that cue is going to go through the ball. It's going to go through the ball. If they're accelerating, it's staying relaxed. It's going to go through the ball. A lot of us in here think that a closed bridge is required for certain shots, like a draw shot. So how many people would say, you should use a closed bridge for a draw shot? How many people would say that? Be honest. Anybody say that now? There's been a lot of people that have said that over the years.
Yes.
Jerry says that a closed bridge can be effective when people are practicing draw shots because if they follow through, the cue will be flexed because they're holding it down. And the tip's on the claws. So that helps give them some feedback that their stroke was proper, that they kept their elbow pretty still, they went through the ball. Now, if you tighten your grip, that just lowers the tip. You see that? If somebody scoops the ball, it's usually because they're tightening their grip. When you tighten the grip, the tip goes down. So when somebody scoops the ball, they're usually tensing up. All right? But the other thing that happens bad, I call this the swing. If somebody tightens their whole arm, this happens. Even worse than tightening the grip, they're tightening everything. And they usually have this, they do all kinds of stuff like this, right? Tightening their whole body. And you can see the facial expression. When I look at the video analysis, I also look at their face, Jim. If I see this, watch my face, watch. If I see this, that tells me there's tension in their entire body. Right? Very useful to watch the face. The people who like this, if they're stroking like this, a closed bridge is going to help them. All right? This will help. I can't do anything when I'm tightening, and the tip's going to hit the ball. I'm not going to miscue. So a closed bridge can help people that do this. But to me, I call this a Band-Aid. I don't like to cover a problem with a Band-Aid. I like to fix the problem. I want to make them be relaxed, because if they're not relaxed, it's going to hurt all kinds of things. It's going to affect their accuracy, their speed control, everything. A lot of the old books and a lot of the older instructors, they would often say, they would often teach people to use a closed bridge, because that's what all the straight pull guys did in America. But when I saw the snooker guys hitting these amazing shots with amazing accuracy over these incredible distances, and hitting power draw across the whole damn table, and not one of them ever used a closed bridge, that's when I started questioning. I said, what? These guys must be onto something, because they're the best shooters in the world. And they never use a closed bridge for any shot. And I have a list of 11 reasons why an open bridge is better. So when you get a chance, look through that. The video demonstrates all of them. Number 4, do you guys think chalk makes a big difference? Well, there's some differences. The newer chalks, these premium chalks that cost a lot of money, they actually last a lot longer. But the main advantage is they don't mark up the cue ball. They also keep a table clean. I'm using town, different colors of town, and some of the Predator premium chalk. And I never get chalk on my table anymore. Now, in the old days with the master, I would have chalk marks all over the place. But the main advantage is if they're not getting chalk on the cue ball, then you're going to have much less frequent playing skid kick. Now, that doesn't matter to typical league players. League players don't even know usually if they got skid. But a top player like professional, if they get a skid and it causes them to miss one shot, that can make them lose the match and the tournament, right?
I think the original version of Tome had more miscues. That was my experience, and it was the experience of the snooker players.
Partly because the early versions of Town did not stick to the tip as well, maybe, right? That was my experience, and you had to chalk a little more carefully. In my experience, if you chalk carefully, it seemed about the same to me, but I also got more miscues, Bob. My experience was the same. But then I started learning how to chalk a little more carefully. I chalk lazily sometimes too. I yell at my students for doing it all the time. Yeah, so Jackie says a lot of people in our area or league, they like to use their tip prick or make holes so the chalk can fill them in, and then jam the chalk in there and add more chalk. I don't think I've scuffed or pricked my tip maybe in 2 years. If you chalk properly, the chalk is slightly abrasive, right? If you chalk properly and do it frequently, it keeps the tip fresh. It keeps the surface from glazing. All right, LD shafts. Are you going to play better if you have an LD shaft?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily is a good answer. Some people might, because there's less cue ball deflection. If they don't know what cue ball deflection is, and they don't know how to correct for it, an LD shaft might help them if they're using side spin. But if they don't know what cue ball deflection is, they probably should not be using side spin yet, right? So, the last 2 things, what I like to say, people, it's not the chalk, it's not the cue, it's you. That's right. I try to be a little more or less politically incorrect. I was a college professor, so I have to have a little bit of tact, but I often let my mouth go sometimes when I shouldn't have it. Okay, so the rest of the time I want to spend on number 1. I want to show you some interesting demonstrations that are fun. The students really like these. I do this anytime I see someone have a myth about side spin, like they think side spin helps do things that really doesn't do. And this little demonstration, I highly recommend this for someone that you think is using side spin when they shouldn't. If I hit a stop shot with right side spin, what is the cue ball going to do? Is it going to stop in place, go to the right, or go to the left? And a lot of them will think the cue ball is going to go to the right.
So it goes the opposite.
Well, let's take our time, Claude. Let's not jump to conclusions here. If they say, oh, it's going to obviously go to the right, because you're putting right spin, it's going to make it roll that, it's going to go to the right. And this is what I do. Actually made a draw too. It didn't go to the right, did it? And then they'll say, oh, so right spin makes the ball go to the left. I didn't know that. And I say, well, I'm not sure. Let's try it again. So then I'll go like this. That time I had better stun, which is what I was trying to do. What the hell? That time the right spin made it go to the right. So what's the right answer? Then they get confused, and they'll say, well, let's look at this one now. It didn't do anything. It stopped in place. So what's the difference? I'll ask them that. So that's the way I teach. I want them to. I don't want to tell them the information. I want them to discover these things on their own. That's why this is a good kind of demonstration. You're challenging their understanding or their misunderstanding, and you're helping them discover the answer. You want to, oh, Tom was again. Let's have Tom give it. What was different about those 3 shots, Tom? How did I make that go right, left, hit the exact same amount of spin? How did I make it go to the right one time, the left one time, and stop dead in place the other time?
Touch it off center.
I'm cheating the pocket, yes.
In the pocket.
Yes, so, and then I usually say, well, look, if they think side spin is necessary to make it move, then I show this and say, look, which way do you want me to move? Which way do you want the cue ball to move? I'm not going to use any side spin. And they'll say, well, move to the right. Well, I just go like this. And I'm no side spin, just stun it. Got a little top spin that time, but went way to the right. And then at this point, I have them standing right here, and I say, you tell me what's different. And then now they watch it, and now they start seeing I'm hitting different parts of the pocket. It's not the side spin that makes this ball move, it's where you need me. Now a little subtle thing, I don't know if you guys noticed how carefully I aimed when I was trying to stop it dead in place. You can't aim at the ghost ball, or the ideal ghost ball. You can't aim here. I had to aim like a hair this way. Can anybody tell me why? No, I'm adjusting for deflection with my system for aiming with side spin. I'm doing all these pivots if you hadn't noticed. It's not important for now. If you have questions, you can ask me. But no, there's also throw. When you have right side spin, the right side spin throws the object ball to the left. Whenever you throw the object ball one way, the cue ball gets thrown is equal and opposite. The cue ball gets pushed the other way. So if you hit this cue ball right here, can you guys see that? If the cue ball hit right there with right spin, the object ball is going to go that way, the cue ball is going to go this way, with a perfectly solid direct hit. So I was aiming so carefully because I was aiming to compensate for throw. Instead of aiming here, I was aiming here. And you would think the cue ball might move that way. But no, the throw cancels the cut. I'm cutting it that way, but the throw makes the cue ball want to go this way, so it cancels and it magically stops in place. So you got to practice this. If you want to do a convincing demonstration, you got to practice. When you give a demonstration, you don't want it to fail the first time, right? Now, luckily, with this kind of thing, you don't have to get it right every time. Don't tell them what you're going to do ahead of time. That's the trick. That's what Tom Rossman's so good at. Is Tom here? He'll hit a shot, then he'll tell you what he was trying to do. He's smart like that. No, he's good enough to make it happen however you want. Front hand and backhand English. We don't have time to get into that. I was doing that earlier. It's called saws. But here you go, saws. This is what I was using to adjust my aim. We're not going to get into the detail, but it describes it. But this basically gives away the whole system with 6 articles you can print and read. That's what I'm doing if you're curious. To get that accurate aim that I had earlier. I made the ball stop pretty well, right? So I was careful. All right, last quick demo that's also useful. Jim was shooting. He hit a nice long stop shot. And then Jerry says, that's a pro level stop shot. He said that, right?
Yes.
Because he used a very low tip, a nice slow speed. This is a great demo that convinces people to do that. Watch this. I put a donut here. I have 2 donuts here. These are all in a straight line. It's a donut on the line right here. And like Jerry says, ask students to hit a stop shot pretty early in your lesson. And most of them hit it too hard. After they've done it, I'll say, look, I'm going to try to hit a stop shot like you did earlier. And I'll go like this. I'll say, I can try this. I'm going to hit it center ball really fast speed. See my long stroke for the faster speed? Now, my tip was literally less than a human hair too long. It looked like it was dead center to me. This is the problem with fast speed. If your tip is off a hair, it does this. If your aim is off a hair. Now this is why I have this. I said, okay, now look, I want to show you 2 shots. I'm going to hit one like you did a few minutes ago, I'm a student, and then I'm going to hit one like a pro would. All right? So here, and I say, I want you to keep me honest. Jeremiah, you're going to have to be my honesty person right now, okay? All right? And I say, look, I'm going to aim these shots with a slight error because, look, we're not perfect. Sometimes our aim is not perfect. Would you guys agree that's a true statement?
Oh,
Sometimes.
It's very often. In fact, our aim is almost never perfect. That's a better statement, all right? We are almost never perfect. All right, this time my aim is going to be off. And student, Jeremiah student, you're going to keep me honest. When I aim the next 2 shots, you're going to make sure the edge of my shaft is right through the center of this donut. If my aim is accurate, the shaft covers the donut. I'm going to aim with a slight error. So here I'm going to use my fast speed stop shot. I haven't moved. You can see my cue's not pointing through the donut. See that? It's still right there. All right, so I usually put a ball there. With the aiming error, look how bad my stop shot was. This is not a good stop shot. Would you guys agree? All right. Now.
You're off by a couple feet.
Same aim.
Yes. Same aim. The slogan I use for this is low and slow is the way to go. right, with stop shots. Also with draw. If you want to do controlled draw, it's much better to aim low and use less speed. All right, especially here with less speed. First of all, you're going to be more accurate with less speed, typically, right? When you add speed, we usually lose accuracy slightly. But also, if your tip is off anyway with aim or tip or height, it kills you. All right, so here I'm going to use the same bad aim, but I'm going to hit it nice and low. See how low my tip is? So Jeremiah, am I honest?
That's the same, yeah.
Okay. Low and slow. Same terrible aim. It only drifted, probably because I had my tip a hair too low, it drifted this way, less than a half an inch. All right, low and slow is the way to go with stop shots. Now,